Strick, you played a long time in the pros, Hall of Famer, played a long time. You had different coaches, etc. Day one, because Strick, you're one of the greatest basketball players who ever played in Nebraska, ever. And you played with numerous coaches on the pro level. What do you do day one, though?
I mean, day one, you really want to, I think, come in and establish rapport and relationship, especially from some of your core guys that are going to be returning. You want to, day one, be having conversations with Trey Palmer and the likes of Casey Thompson to try to keep that combination in order. There's no question that's priority number one. You want to make sure that both of those young men feel good about what your plan is. I mean, you want to lay it out on the line to make them feel comfortable as to the direction that you want to go, where, just implement them into the whole process, guys like that. And then you really want to work out a plan with a staff. I think you definitely would want to talk to Mickey, because Mickey has shown the capabilities to not be able to also be able to bring the type of talent that you would need in order to change and turn a program around. But on top of that, in thrown into the fire and what he was just able to accomplish, you want to try to keep somebody like that on board from you and have those type of conversations. I personally, AD, think there's probably about 3 coaches that might be in retention status or that Rhule would probably have a good sit down with and consider. I think you got to look at, obviously, Mickey. You got to look at Applewhite, and then I would even look at Bush. I think Bush Bush did a tremendous job.
Absolutely.
I don't know if it's a coordinator position, because usually a new coach will want to bring in his own coordinators, head of the offense and the defense. But I think those are key components that I think he'd want to definitely have conversations with about retention.
Bach, I'm going to ask you both this. I'm going to ask you this, Bach. I'm going to ask you this Strick as well. You look at the guys that are coming back, that potentially coming back. Obviously, Mickey, hopefully. Mm-hmm. You look at Bill Bush. And I'm going to say this as well. Coach Fisher, defensive back coach. Mm. What do you do, Bach? You're coming in as the head guy. Who do you retain?
I think for me, it would be you do everything you can to keep Mickey. Like we said, kind of continue that energy going. And if Mickey wasn't here, do everything he can to get Mickey, right? I mean, because he's a top rising assistant coach and now has a little bit of head coaching experience, 3 Big Ten wins. He might get some calls for head coaching positions too. So he might be hard to fight for. But certainly Mickey. And I think Bill Bush is a big part of it too, because we do give Mickey a lot of credit. But if we're honest, the offensive side, which is Mickey's, where he kind of makes his money, wasn't great throughout the year. It was the switch to put Bill Bush as the defensive coordinator that I would like to see again. This transition run very smoothly, and with those 2 guys, I think that's where I would start. I'm also interested to see if Matt Rhule kind of brings along his guys, or if he goes outside the norm, because he's got some guys that he typically brings along with him. Phil Snow has been his defensive coordinator at Temple. He's been his defensive coordinator at Baylor. He's been his defensive coordinator at Carolina. So he's going to have, some guys that he's going to want to bring in himself. Got to make sure everybody meshes well. But I think, I don't know if you start to bring back 3 to 4 guys, it maybe starts to feel like you're, what is that transition? Because you do have to make a separation between the Mickey era and now the Matt Rhule era. Right. Otherwise, there will be this kind of underlying, well, you don't want these guys, because first we had the Frost guys versus the new guys.
Right.
Now you don't want this kind of Mickey's guys and Rhule's guys having a division, I think, within that locker room. And I don't think they would. Again, it's not problematic because of their, as Jay was kind of saying, their personalities. You don't see that, kind of developing, but it's sometimes it's best and with what's been done with Matt Rhule in the past to just kind of get a clean slate moving forward. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge that there are some things going right for Nebraska, and if you want to keep that moving, then certainly Mickey and I think Mickey first and foremost, and then Bill Bush would get a heavy look for me.
Yeah. I think there's something that's important too. As we talk about Mickey going forward, I think there's something that's really important. I think It may not be at Nebraska either. It may not be the situation where this happens, but I think Mickey really needs to look into honing his skills and in order to go to the next level for wherever that is for him, if it's here at Nebraska or if it's somewhere else. I think he needs to look at becoming an offensive coordinator, like really focusing and honing in on that leadership area and that room and grabbing it by the horns and then putting himself in a tremendous position. I think what he's done is commendable. I also think that putting him in a spot like that where he can continue to build and hone his resume, because that may be an area where people would draw question, because then if it fails, usually they would like to have a mind that's capable of taking over that position if you have to do it from the sidelines as the head coach.
Strick, you think about this, man, from you being from perspective, like I said, again, played in numerous organizations, some great. I actually played a lot of great organizations, you know, the Mavericks, the Knicks, even down there in Arizona. If you're coming in, who are the guys that you're thinking about? And you talked about it a little bit right there, but who are the guys you're thinking, okay, I want these guys in my corner? Who are those guys you want your corner? Because Strick, think about this, Chief. I have the Iowa hungover. Bro, I still got the Iowa hungover, man. And I'm still just pumped we beat freaking Iowa.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped about that.
I was too. I was excited for that.
Yes, I'm so pumped about that. So now we go not even 24 hours, Stricky. We don't even go 24 hours, and yet we have a new coach, and we're going to back the hell out of him, first of all. We're going to back the hell out of Rhule. Strick, who do you retain? Who do you keep? And what's your criteria?
Player-wise?
Both. Player and coach-wise.
Okay, yeah. So
Stricky, I'm going to say this real fast. No matter what, I'm keeping Mickey, and I'm keeping Kenny Wilhite.
I think Kenny Wilhite.
Coaches.
Yeah, I think Kenny Wilhite is a great liaison, and he does a wonderful job in keeping his ear to the ground of what's going on, both on both sides of that form, in the locker room as well as out. So I think that's phenomenal as well. I definitely think Mickey's a key. I can't say I've been overly satisfied with I like some of the linebacker play. I can't say Rude would probably be one at the top of the list. You know, the tight ends have been okay. So I would just have to say definitely, man, it'd have to be Applewhite, maybe Bush for me. Bush, Applewhite. I think he's done a good job with Anthony Grant. I cannot fault in any way the running back room. I think they've got good talent. I mean, you saw that with even just Ramir Johnson coming in. And I mean, those guys were running hungry. Whenever they got an opportunity, they looked like they all came running hungry. And that was very reminiscent of me from the past, where it didn't matter if it was Clinton Childs. It didn't matter if it was Damon Benning. It didn't matter if it was, LP or Mon Green. As you had a system of guys that when their opportunity came, it didn't look like it was any different. They all ran with hunger and passion. So I can't say Applewhite is fault. I just think our line was terrible. Yeah. I just thought our line was just terrible. And they held up. I got to give them credit, though. I'm not going to even bash or cab. They really did a good job in Iowa, because Iowa was throwing a lot of stuff at them. And right. I was surprised to just see the change. That was the expectation I would have had for Iowa, the turnovers. It looked like we was getting in there digging things out, like we had talked about, I think Bach may have been around. We were talking about how guys just kind of get in the scrum. And they like, get in the scrum, like get in there and dig something out, man. Get in there, get some money. And so to see them to turn the turnaround game, I want to see them get back to that type of aggressiveness on the defensive side. Whoever brings that's going to excite me. Whoever's going to bring those guys. I loved what you guys said in the last segment, because for me, I don't want to be looking at measurables. I want to look at tangibles, like where your heart at. Where's your mind? What's your drive like?
Right.
How much can I really, get on you and coach you? Because if you're soft and sensitive as Cottonelle, you may not want to be in this room. I'm looking for hardened guys that's willing to go through the wall. And that's what I think they got to start looking at. I don't care about size. I care about hard shoes. Strict 6'10". I got pictures of me boxing out Yao Ming, guarded Shaq.
Right.
I mean, I'm saying, look, guy, that's the type of guy you looking for. Not me, but I'm saying hard guys that are willing to stick their nose in the dirt,
right,
and dig it out and find the groundhog. Even though the groundhog can dig deeper than you, I'm gonna dig it out.